actually remember the night I found hand-in-hand parenting really well, because I was desperate. I was at my limit, and we'd been in survival for 3 years through a really stressful period in our family. Our son had taken on quite a lot of trauma as a result, and he was in a really extreme distressed state by this point. As a result, it was extremely isolating. There was a kind of barrage of judgment from friends and family. People stopped inviting us to things. Nobody really wants to be around you when you have a child who's wild and out of control. People tend to feel quite uneasy, and it was desperate. I'd been really deeply committed to gentle and responsive parenting, and I was doing my absolute best on willpower alone to hold it together, but I was so stressed for such a long time. It's brutal to see your child in that kind of state. Yeah, really stressful and really frightening for everybody. And we were desperate. I had a whole stack of parenting books, and had done courses and coaching, and just desperate to find answers through the paediatrician and those services. Nothing was helping. Even though I was doing my absolute best to stay calm, I was finding that I was just losing it, and I'd be screaming at this poor little traumatized, distressed child, which, obviously really helped. And I'd get really stressed and angry, and I'd become punitive, or I'd become rigid, reactive in those moments. And then, of course, I'd just feel, so ashamed when I finally got him to bed, which took hours and hours because he was so anxious. I'd have this kind of hour at 11 o'clock at night where I'd frantically scour the internet for answers, and promise to myself that I'd do better tomorrow and I wouldn't lose it this time. And in one of those evenings scouring the internet, I came across hand-in-hand parenting, and it was an ad for their instructor training. I watched enough of their YouTubes that I could tell that this was an approach that really resonated. And I figured that if I could, understand this to the depth that I would have to embody it to be able to teach other people and help other families, maybe if I could do that, then I'd be able to untangle this quite extreme tangle that my family was in. So as I started to implement this approach, there were some ways in which you could immediately see the benefit. But after about 9 months, things really started to come together. And by 2 years later, we really fully had our boy back, and he was able to start school. And from that point on, he's been a happy, thriving boy. Hand in Hand has given me my child back. It's taken me on a profound personal journey, and I'll always be grateful to Patty Whitfler and this organisation.